Welcome to Theory of Pets. I'm a passionate pet owner with a drive to help others like me uncover the truth about the pet industry and what goes on behind the scenes. Hello and welcome back to Theory of Pets. This week, a family member of ours has a dog who is suffering from a major back injury. They actually think that he's going to need surgery. So that got me thinking about back injuries in dogs and how common they are. I actually tested a product called the Wiggleless back brace for our website, topdogtips.com. And my dog thankfully didn't have any back issues, but I tested the brace. I saw how unique it was. It's kind of always been there in the back of my mind that this product was out there and available. So I recommended it to our family member whose dog is suffering from some back trouble right now. They ran it past their veterinarian and decided it was going to be a great fit for him and something that would really help him. So then I got to thinking that I actually have a contact with Wiggleless, and it just so happens to be Lisa Luckenbach, who's the creator of the Wiggleless dog back brace, and she obviously is the founder of the company. So I wanted to reach out to her and see if she would speak with us, and she graciously agreed to do that. So this week I'm talking to Lisa, and we're discussing intervertebral disc disease in dogs. It's IVDD, and this is actually something that's a lot more common than a lot of people think. And back injuries in general, think about what your dog does every day, jumping in and out of the car, climbing up and down off furniture and beds. All of that stuff over time takes a toll on the back, the joints, the hips. And a lot of times, people see things like arthritis in later years and they just think that their dog's getting old. But actually these things could be either fully prevented or at least pushed off for a few years if we're aware of our dogs' bodies and what they're doing and how hard it is on their bodies. So I talked to Lisa today. We specifically talked about back injuries and the Wiggleless back brace and what a unique product that it is and how it can help dogs with back injuries. So I will leave you with that interview. So first of all, thank you so much again for coming on the podcast and talking to us a little bit. There's going to be some background information about you on the website, but for our listeners that are listening to the podcast, we'll talk a little bit about Wiggleless, the company that you're with, and the back brace that you guys have created. But let's talk first about back issues in dogs in general. And I wanted to just get a little bit of a background from you about back issues that owners might see, things that they should maybe look for in dogs if they're concerned that they might have a back issue.
Okay, sure. So, it's estimated that 1 in 5 dachshunds alone are diagnosed with IVDD, which is intervertebral disc disease. So that's dachshunds only, and that is one breed among about 8 breeds that are prone to back problems. So IVDD, intervertebral disc disease, whether you want to call it a slipped disc or a ruptured, herniated, prolapsed disc, IVD is probably the most common back problems in dogs. So the spinal cord has 26 donut-shaped jelly masses in between each disc, and they act as shock absorbers, to protect your dog when, your dog is jumping, running, moving around. And when this material is dislodged or leaks, it brings on sudden pain to your dog. It can cause paralysis. So it can, an injury, a canine disc disease can occur after an injury as minimal as just jumping off of a bed or trauma like being hit by a car. So you've got breeds such as poodles and beagles, basset hounds, cocker spaniels, dachshunds. They're prone to these issues. Then you have degenerative disc diseases. You have spinal stenosis. It's a narrowing of the spinal cord from degeneration over time or from a birth defect. It puts increasing amount of pressure on the dog's spine, so the dog can be in tremendous pain and sensitivity. Signs to look for a dog that may be in back pain. They may have difficulty raising their tail. They won't wag their tail. There's stiffness in their body. There can be limping. There's restricted movements. There's a sensitivity in yelping to touch. There's many signs that the dog gives: shaking, trembling, head down, a knuckled foot that doesn't quite lift the ground. All of these things can potentially be extremely serious and would require a vet immediately. And if it's gotten in time, then the dog has a tremendous amount of chance to recover. And the usual veterinary protocol for back pain, disc issues is rest first and foremost. So about 6 to 8 weeks of crate rest or confined rest. There's going to be strong medication, painkillers, anti-inflammatories, steroids, and that is really the protocol. And it's very difficult to keep a dog contained and have a dog not be able to be a dog. So how do you do that? And that's kind of what happened with me and my story, and how Wiggleless started was I had two dachshunds, two long-haired dachshunds, and over time they were both diagnosed with IVDD. They were litter mates 4 years apart. Each one of them, June, had a very long, thin build like a pencil, and Henry had a more stocky build, like a little Tootsie Roll. So their builds were very different, but they were both diagnosed with it. And I had never experienced any kind of back pain in any of the dogs I had growing up. I've always had dogs. I had bigger dogs. So this was a brand new thing for me. And I myself had gone through some back issues, and it was kind of like, well, I got help with back braces from the pharmacy, and there must be something out there for a dog that can help support a dog while they're being treated at the vet, while they're resting, for prevention, for recovery, all that. And there wasn't anything available at the time. So I had just had a prototype made up. I went to a seamstress and had an idea of what I wanted for a back brace for a dog, and she sewed it up, and I was using it for Henry and June, and had no intention of starting a business with this. And I brought the dogs to the veterinarian, my veterinarian, and he was like, wow, this is really something that could help a lot of dogs. You should consider selling these to dogs. So that's how Wiggleless started, and that was, well, probably back the idea, the seed of the idea was probably in 2008, and then it took a couple of years to develop it and get the design patented and all that, get the business going, and it went live to sell to dogs worldwide online in 2011.
And I've actually tried a Wiggleless back brace with our boxer, and I will put a link to that as well on underneath the podcast, so people can check that out if they want some more specific details and to see the video and the pictures and things that I took of our boxer, Chloe. So if anybody's familiar with boxers, they do that kind of well-known boxer wiggle, we call it. And Chloe doesn't have back problems, thankfully. But when trying the Wiggleless back brace, I was really impressed with the fact that, you said it very well when you said it allows a dog to be a dog without stopping that kind of natural dogness that they have, but it keeps their back from bending in ways that's going to either do further damage or cause a lot of pain. So I was impressed with that because we have a very wiggly dog, and it kept her from doing things that would injure her back if she had a problem.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, the movements are minimally restricted or curtailed, I like to say. Sharp twisting movements are curtailed. There's boning in each brace. We have 8 sizes right now, so depending on the size, there's different amounts of boning. So a boxer, I'm sure, has our most boning, and there'd be 8 steel boning pieces that are sewn into the brace just to help with support and to help these movements that are curtailed or modified that can potentially exacerbate back injuries for dogs.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised to hear quite how common back injuries are in dogs. And one of the things that really stood out to me when you were telling us about the symptoms to be looking for is a lot of those symptoms, I feel like limping or, like curling a paw under or something like that. A lot of pet parents might think that oh, he's limping. It's not a big deal. We'll give it a few days and see what happens. Obviously, if it gets worse, hopefully the responsible pet owner would bring their dog right into the veterinarian. But, these things might seem little to us, but of course, they're kind of those symptoms that are showing signs of a much deeper, much more serious issue. Would you recommend, even if it's a little symptom like limping, to bring your dog in and just have them checked out just in case?
I would, yes, I would, because, if it is something that's fundamentally, worse than maybe the outside appearance of just a small limping, if the dog owner does not get a dog to a vet on time, in terms of back injuries, there can be paralysis, and that's what you want. That's what you don't want. So you want to get in to see the vet ASAP and, get diagnosed, get a treatment plan, get the protocol, and, start there. But you don't want to wait. You do not want to wait until, the symptoms get even more severe.
And I also heard you say that there are, some dogs, some breeds that are more prone to back issues, but I think what you're saying is that any dog of any breed, size, I think we think of the longer breeds like dachshunds, obviously, maybe are going to have back issues, but what you're saying is that it can happen to any dog, no matter what size, weight, activity level. Any dog can suffer from back issues.
Absolutely. That's what I've learned over the course of this journey is, with customers calling in, and, I have customers that call in that they're Great Dane, they're German Shepherd, they're Golden Retriever. And, in my early days with this business, I had assumed, and I just wasn't educated. I'd never had this happen with any of my dogs before. So I just, the bottom line is any dog can. And if you think about it kind of common sense wise, it makes sense. I mean, in terms of us humans and how we injure our backs, and dogs are a lot more active and there's a lot more going on. So it does make sense that at any time a dog can have a back problem just like we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something, you said it very well when you said you just weren't educated. I think it's something that a lot of pet parents aren't educated about. And, it does make sense when you actually think about it, but it's something that isn't thought of until like the situation that you were in. You never deal with it, so you don't really think about it. And then all of a sudden it's thrown in your lap, and now you have no choice. You have to think about it and make a plan for that. Speaking of that, your plan was to try and find a back brace, which didn't work out at the time because there wasn't really anything available. So you created the Wiggleless dog back brace. And what's unique about this brace that people aren't going to find with other products?
There's one other product that is a back brace for dogs. They have 3 sizes. We have 8 sizes. What's unique about it? Well, I think back braces it's a pretty unique niche for dogs regardless. So it's myself and this other company that sell them, and ours is a different design. It's very user-friendly. You just lay it flat on the floor and you straddle your dog over the brace. You lift the sides of the brace and secure it evenly over the torso, and then you secure the breastbone strap, and there you have it. And it can provide, back stability, and again, curtail the twisting. It can be used for when a dog is recovering. My 2 dogs, Henry and June, I created a pen. They were not used to being crated, so I had a pen set up with pillows and dog beds and their water bowl and food, and they were in our living room, and they were still very much a part of our family life while they were healing. And they wore their braces during that time, and then after they recovered, they did eventually fully recover. But a dog can have a back episode one time in their life, or they can have one many times, again, just like human beings. So it's one of these things that you just don't know, is this going to happen again? And that was the piece where it's like, yeah, my vet said it could happen again. I mean, your dogs are kind of like a ticking time bomb once this happens. And what do? How do you help them still be a dog and have a nice, high quality life? And that was my dilemma. And so for my dogs, once they started wearing the brace, they wore it a part of each day for the rest of their lives, and they never did go to the vet again for back issues. It totally protected their backs. It gave me peace of mind when we have a backyard, a fenced-in backyard, that they love, scrambling around and climbing rocks and jumping off of little rock walls and things like that. But it gave me peace of mind knowing that when they were in the backyard wearing their Wiggleless brace, that they were protected.
Absolutely. That's so important, that peace of mind for pet owners, whether your dog has issues or not. It's kind of always in the back of your mind that something could happen. So to have a product like this that gives you that peace of mind is definitely a really nice feeling for us.
Yes, it's a huge thing. It's as much as an emotional product as a functional product, because as you well know, our dogs are our babies, they're our children, they're our family members, and we want to do whatever we can to help them.
For sure. So if you have a dog, let's say, like you said, it's that one-time deal of having a back issue. Maybe they're young and they've jumped off something and hurt their back. About how long would a dog wear a Wiggleless back brace for a secluded incident like that?
Well, when there's a flare-up like what you're talking about, or an injury, a specific injury, I don't recommend. First of all, you need to talk to your vet, and we are allies of veterinarians. We want to support them and assist them, and we understand that veterinary care is essential right off the bat, and then Wiggleless can come in, as well as other modalities of healing like laser therapy, acupuncture, canine massage, water therapy, all that. Wiggleless is another tool to put in your toolkit to help with their overall, health and well-being. So if a dog were to have this, first and foremost, you want to make sure that the fit is right for your dog, that your dog is comfortable and responding well, that your dog can, still walk and sit and sleep and nap and be a dog. Those things are really important. And once those things are determined, then, we would have your dog wear it. Some customers have to work all day, so they have once they've determined it's all going to work out for their dog and they're comfortable and all that they can leave. We have dogs that wear, for an 8-hour workday. And basically you're wearing it until you go back to the vet and your vet said it looks like everything is good. So it could be, for several months of healing and recovery, and then can be used for periodic prevention, used during the day, during the most active times during the day, while taking walks, while playing, things like that. That can be for life, but you just want to, while they're healing from an injury, and I don't know how long that can be. Back problems can last a long time with human beings, and so with dogs. For my dogs, I would have to say they wore it, a good, couple of months, until their backs were healed, and then again they wore it for prevention for the rest of their lives.
And is it something that can be worn 24 hours a day if needed?
Well, it's like anything snug. I think they need a break from it. I don't, unless your veterinary said, they really should be wearing this while they're sleeping. It's critical that they wear this at night as well. I say, the body is in rest mode anyway, and in healing mode, and so I don't think it's as important to wear at night when they're sleeping, but there are customers that there's a very acute injury where they want their dog, swaddled all through the night. And again, that's fine as long as the dog is comfortable. So it's really kind of up to a dog owner to be dialed into their dog, to understand, when's the time to just take this off. Anything snug, it's nice to have a break from that, So on and off throughout the day, and again at night, that's kind of between a vet and the seriousness of the injury.
And are the materials that it's made with, they're going to be comfortable for a dog if they did say need to wear it during a workday for 8 hours or something like that? For the most part, of course, every dog's built a little bit differently, but you did take into consideration the comfort of the pets when you were making the Wiggleless back brace.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, as the owner of Wiggleless and my love of dogs and my intuitive feeling with dogs, that's the most important thing, that they're comfortable while wearing it. And if a dog isn't comfortable, then it's not the right it's not the right fit. It's not going to work. And it doesn't work for every single dog, I will say that, but we have had much more success than not, and that's why we're still in business today.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you work with veterinarians? Obviously not every veterinarian, but is it available in some veterinary offices?
We have a couple here in California that carry them. My veterinarian carries them here where I live. But we have mostly it's direct customers that have been to the vet. They've done all the things that, is appropriate to do. And then they're in the position like I was, like, okay, but what if this happens again? So that's where it became for me like, okay, I still need to do something. I need to do the vet care and the protocol and the pills and the rest and all that, but they also need some support. And so that's how it came to me. And now I'm forgetting what your question was again.
Availability of the wheels. Do you work with pet stores, or is it pretty much
direct online, and then customers will bring the brace to the vet, and the vet will say, this is wonderful. We have a lot of vet testimonials and vet recommendations, and we have customers that will say, my vet recommended it. So it's both. It's customers, it's direct customers, and also vet recommendations, yes.
So if one of our listeners is looking for something, if their dog's having back problems or they just want to be prepared if they have one of those breeds that's more common, certainly check with your veterinarian. But the best way to order probably is online.
Best way to order it is online, and the measurements per our website are very important. We have different pictures of dogs, in the different sizes that we carry, and it's not something where you can just say, oh, that looks like my dog, I'll get that size. It's very important to measure because we put a lot of, kind of science into the design, and we're trying to get as many builds and breeds of dogs as possible, and within every breed, the builds are different, as you well know.
Absolutely. So. And I think with anything that's snug fitting, as you mentioned, just because you have a boxer or a Labrador, they're not all built the same. So measuring is super important. And we also are going to, along with the podcast, right underneath it will be the link to your website. So if anybody is listening that decides that they might want to order a Wiggleless back brace, make sure you get on the website and order. Don't just assume that your dog's small, so you're going to need a small size. That is super important.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you.
Great. So that's pretty much everything that I had for you. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to acknowledge?
Oh, I think it's nice to know that all the braces are made in the USA, and they are in the Garment District of Los Angeles. So that's, I feel proud of that, and
Absolutely.
And the braces are made of a double layer polyester mesh. There's steel boning sewn in it, lots of Velcro. We don't recommend machine wash. They're kind of a hand wash. But the braces themselves, we have had customers who the braces last a lifetime for their dogs. If wear and tear is important, and so the care that you give the brace to clean it out, to pick the hairs out from time to time, it can last a lifetime, and so that's a nice thing to know. And just in our price break, we have the smallest size. Our price ranges are from $71.45 to the largest is $153.95. And I think that if a dog had to have surgery, it would be over $10,000 in some areas, and so the value that the brace gives, the peace of mind that the brace gives, and the function of the brace is pretty priceless in terms of helping to prevent a surgery. We have had customers say that the brace works so well that their dog's back straightened out and they no longer need surgery. That's priceless.
Absolutely. And just the peace of mind if you have a dog who maybe has had surgery and is recovering, and that you want that long-term peace of mind that you're not going to have to deal with any back issues again, absolutely is priceless.
Yes.
Great. Excellent. So again, I just want to thank you for doing the podcast and coming on. I think that this is a topic that a lot of pet parents aren't educated about because, like we said in the beginning, you just don't think about it until it's your problem to deal with. And then at that time, you're kind of scrambling to find information. So I think it's important that people are educated about it now, and especially if they have one of those breeds where back problems are a more common issue, but it can happen to any dog, any breed, any size. So I really appreciate you coming on and just talking to us a little bit about back issues in dogs, and of course the Wiggleless back brace as a great tool to help those pets suffering with back problems.
Well, I certainly appreciate you having me on and getting the word out. And, I'm rewarded when I can just help one dog. So, we want to help as many dogs as possible, knowing the issue at hand here. There's a lot of dogs out there that are potentially suffering from back problems, and we hope that we can help in some way.
Thanks for listening today, guys. I hope you got as much out of that interview with Lisa as I did. So keep a watch on your dog and look for those signs of back problems. And if you do have any issues, like Lisa mentioned, you don't want to wait to take your dog to the vet because things could get worse very quickly when it comes to back, hip, and joint issues. So be sure to schedule an appointment for your vet to check things out. And if you think that the Wiggleless back brace might be for you, go ahead and mention that as well. And I appreciate you guys listening. If you could just jump onto iTunes and leave a quick review, that always helps me get the word out about Theory of Pets. If you guys have any comments or questions, jump onto our website, theoryofpets.com, and you can either leave voice recorded questions on there that I may use in a future podcast, or you can type your questions as well, and I will be sure to respond to those as soon as possible. Thanks for listening, guys, and I will see you back next time.